As night fell, an ominous darkness descended upon the ancient ruins, a darkness that was as tangible as it was terrifying. Somewhere in the heart of this darkness, a group of friends had embarked on an adventure, their curiosity piquing despite the stern warnings from Kavitha, a local expert in the occult. Their laughter echoed through the ruins, a stark contrast to the eerie silence that hung heavily in the air. They were a motley crew, each one as different from the other as chalk and cheese. There was Rohan, the self-appointed leader, his bravado often bordering on arrogance. Neha, the scholar, who sought answers in dusty old books and ancient lore. Ajay, the thrill-seeker, always on the lookout for his next adrenaline rush. And then there was Leela, the innocent one, her wide-eyed wonder making her the most vulnerable of them all. Despite Kavitha's stern warnings, they had ventured into the ruins, their curiosity fueling their determination. They had performed a ritual, their voices chanting in unison, the symbols they drew glowing ominously in the flickering light of their flashlights. But what they had assumed to be just a harmless adventure soon turned into a nightmare. As they stumbled through the ruins, the gravity of their mistake began to dawn on them. The ritual they had performed had not just awakened their fears, but something far more sinister, a malevolent force that lurked in the shadows, feeding off their fear, growing stronger with every passing minute. And then Rohan, the leader, the bravest of them all, vanished. His screams tore through the silence of the night, echoing through the ruins, a chilling testament to the danger they had unwittingly unleashed. The darkness was alive, it was real, and it was closing in fast, its cold, icy fingers reaching out for them, ready to pull them into its depths. His screams echoed through the ruins, a chilling testament to the danger they had unwittingly unleashed. Kavitha found Leela, the innocent girl, cowering in a corner, her eyes wide with terror. With a heavy heart, Kavitha led Leela through the labyrinth of the ancient ruins, their path lit only by the faint glimmer of their flashlights. The darkness seemed to dance around them, a chilling reminder of the power they had unwittingly unleashed. They found themselves at Kavitha's humble abode, a small cottage filled to the brim with ancient tomes and relics. Their task was clear. They needed to reverse the ritual. As they delved into the dusty books, their hearts pounded with a mix of fear and hope. In the midst of their frantic research, they heard a knock. Neha and Ajay had escaped the ruins, their faces ghostly pale, and their eyes filled with a fear that words could not convey. As they stepped into the warm glow of the cottage, it was clear. The darkness had left its mark on them. Their faces were ashen, and their eyes haunted. Together, the four of them pored over the ancient texts, searching for a solution. Over time, the words began to reveal their secrets, painting a chilling picture of an ancient entity, a being of immeasurable darkness that had been roused from its centuries-long slumber, a being that now had its sights set on them. Kavitha led the charge, her fingers dancing over the worn pages as she pieced together the fragments of the counter-curse. "We need to perform a counter-curse," she declared, her voice steady despite the gravity of their situation. "It won't be easy. We'll need to gather rare herbs and spices and perform the ritual under the light of the full moon." Neha, Ajay, and Leela nodded, their faces etched with newfound resolve. They had unleashed this darkness, and they would be the ones to banish it back to its depths. So they set out, each tasked with gathering a piece of the puzzle. As they moved through the village, an eerie silence hung in the air. They couldn't escape the feeling that they were being watched, that the darkness was trailing their every move, biding its time. Meanwhile, Kavitha was preparing the space for the ritual, drawing symbols of protection and lighting candles to ward off the creeping shadows. Neha, Ajay, and Leela returned one by one, their arms laden with the necessary ingredients. As they began to arrange the items in the ritual circle, a sudden chill swept through the room. The candles flickered ominously, casting dancing shadows on the walls. And then, just as they were about to begin the counter-curse, Leela was gone. "Leela!" Kavitha's cry echoed through the silence, a desperate plea that went unanswered. They looked at each other, their hearts pounding with fear. Leela had been taken by the darkness, and they knew that their time was running out. The darkness was still out there, waiting for its chance to strike. The chilling fact hung in the air, a stark reminder of the grave task that lay ahead. They had to perform the counter-curse, not just for themselves, but for Leela, and for everyone else who might fall prey to the awakened darkness. And then, just as they were about to begin the counter-curse, Leela vanished. The chilling emptiness of her sudden absence echoed louder than any scream. The silence was a cold, sharp blade, slicing through the tension-filled air. Kavitha's cry of Leela's name was a futile attempt to bring her back, a desperate plea swallowed by the encroaching darkness. The urgency of their situation escalated. The darkness had made its move, a terrifying chess game where the stakes were their very lives. It was a stark reminder that they were not just battling an ancient entity, but also racing against time. Leela's disappearance was a catalyst, igniting a flame of determination within them. It was a cruel twist of fate that they had to perform the counter curse without her, yet it was the only option they had. Their survival hinged on the successful execution of the counter curse, and they were painfully aware of it. With renewed resolve, they set about their task. The counter curse was a complex weave of ancient incantations and precise movements, a delicate dance performed under the watchful eyes of the full moon. Each word they uttered, each gesture they made, was a direct challenge to the entity, a battle cry in the silent war they were waging. The shadows around them seemed to recoil, to shrink back from the power of the counter curse. Yet they could feel the darkness watching, waiting, its cold tendrils snaking around the edges of their courage. As they neared the end of the counter curse, their hearts pounded in their chests, their breaths coming in ragged gasps. It was a moment suspended in time, the calm before the storm that was sure to follow. Then, with a final resonant incantation, they completed the counter curse. The night held its breath, the silence so profound it was almost deafening. They waited, the taste of hope and fear mingling on their tongues. The darkness had taken her, and the group knew that they were running out of time. They had thrown their challenge into the abyss. Now it was a waiting game. Would the darkness retreat, or would it fight back, more ferocious than before? Only time would tell.